first grade this year with a new teacher who's working out very well, wonderfully. So we're very proud of that class. We have an ESL bilingual Spanish support in math in grades 5 and 6. We've never had that before. We actually have 2 periods at each grade level where those ESL students are supported in mathematics. We are continuing our ST math instruction in grades 1 to 3, and that's working out quite nicely because there's a lot of spatial reasoning. So the students are not hindered by language. So if they have a limited English, they are still able to participate and work in this program. So we're working a lot with that data and taking a look to see how we can help our students. We also have the use of Linkit for, I'm skipping down a little bit, we have that for data collection, and we're using a lot of that data. We're analyzing that data and we're using it to formulate groups for in-school and outside of school. So that's really helping us to drive our instruction. Also a part of Linkit have benchmark tests. These benchmark tests have been research-based to prove that they are good predictors of how students will do on the NJSLA. So we gave our first benchmark administration already. We have that data and we're already using it in the classrooms, and also outside of the classrooms, we're preparing other groups. We have targeted after school groups in ELA and math that will be starting very soon. We have targeted morning groups as well. Many of our teachers are Orton Gillingham trained that the district provided, and we have students that come in and we work specifically with those students. We have additional I&RS intervention periods for students who qualify once the I&RS team takes a look at the students and we're looking at all of their needs. We have school-wide basic skills instruction rather than just targeted instruction now, so we're able to help all our students and we can often just target their specific needs. We have a math coach at ECC Lindbergh in the high school that we've already been utilizing her greatly. Our teachers are going to Conquer Mathematics Professional Development, and the feedback on that has been fantastic. I'm excited to go myself. Teachers are coming back and they're turnkeying what they're learning to their grade level colleagues, and there's a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement. How can we get more math in? And we're really hoping to build off that excitement. We have additional social and emotional supports. At Lindbergh School, we start every morning at 8:25 with classical music. If we're not right there at 8:25, people are asking us, where's the music? We have signs up to stay to the right. People are coming in a much more orderly fashion, really ready to learn. And we're finding that that's calming everything down. The students are coming in with a good positive mindset. We've created a wellness room, and our guidance counselor, Ms. McCarthy, has specific periods where she's in that wellness room. We also have restorative practices where we're working with students. It's not just a punishment. We're really working on tying our discipline in with restorative justice practices. So we create small groups that we target students on their social, emotional, behavioral needs. And I'm happy to say, and almost afraid to say, that we are just seeing a great reduction in students who are referred to me for behavior and disciplinary issues. We also have, in the wellness room, it's a very calming, relaxing environment. Ms. McCarthy sends out guidance lessons to the teachers, and she also goes in and does additional guidance lessons. So we're happy so far with the way things have been going since the start of the school year. We have always worked at how to focus on our chronic absenteeism. We have a formal attendance review committee, and we started a reward system last year. We did see an increase in student attendance, and we've revamped it and even added to it this year. So we're pretty proud of how that's going, and our hopes is to have the students in school and then we can educate them. So that's a little bit about Lindbergh School and our intervention strategies.
Very good. Very nice.
So at PPHS, we are proud to share, as you met just a few moments ago, that we had 6 students achieve perfect scores on their NJSLA assessments. We had 4 students in ELA and 2 in mathematics. At PPHS, as is the case in Lindbergh, the number of our devices is steadily increasing. And students are regularly engaging in technology in the classroom and outside of the classroom. They're developing fluency with the devices, but they're also developing fluency and using it as a device to bridge gaps in learning. All of our tested grade levels, 7 through 10, demonstrate a steady increase in ELA proficiency and advanced proficiency. We're looking at the trends from 2017 through 2019, and their achievement meets or exceeds the state's trends. All students in Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 demonstrate steady growth in math proficiency from 2017 through 2019, and again, their achievement meets or exceeds the state trend. We're looking at our general population in this case for both our ELA and math. Our Hispanic and Latino subgroup, which is our largest growing subgroup, has increased their ELA proficiency in all grades, 7 through 10. And if you refer back to slides a few previous to this, you'll see that there was a recognizable increase in growth for our ELA, Hispanic and Latino subgroup students in ELA. Our regular testing, or the regular administration of this test, was streamlined to 4 highly structured days rather than it spanning over weeks' time. This decreased disruption to instructional schedules. It gave teachers and students a great opportunity to be together in an instructional format. And that was really the result of careful scheduling and really focused cooperation between our high school staff and our technology team, both access to devices and careful crafting of a very thoughtful schedule. Some intervention strategies. We saw the data. We recognize that there are some significant deficits that still need focus. We as well are using Linkit for data collection and analysis, and we're formulating student groups, and we are driving instruction based on the data presented to us through Linkit. Teachers are receiving training via supervisors. They are really turnkeying the use of this platform to make data accessible and to make it easy to understand and to make it impactful. So teachers now, rather than seeing numbers, are able to assign specific skills and skills that they've mastered or skills that they're at deficit at, and are able to tailor learning plans to those specific skills. We as well are implementing Linkit benchmark assessments. Again, research-based assessments aligned to New Jersey learning standards, and that allows for us to take a careful look at results and align instruction to those standards. It also allows for us to provide consistency in terms of delivery of instruction. So teachers are working together to plan during common planning time to make sure that appropriate standards are addressed and are mastered. Our mathematics team is also attending Conquer Math training. Our teachers are attending, our supervisors are attending, and they are again working together to implement that learning in the classroom as professionals. We're really proud to roll out a refreshed implementation of a PLC structure at the high school. So we're focusing on priority learning standards, and we're increasing proficiency in instructional practice. This is about teachers working together as professional teams, identifying skills, identifying strategies, and tailoring instruction to meet the specific needs of students. Thoughtful scheduling includes an additional ELA class for students in grades 7 and 8, and we are really pleased that we have been able to align those additional ELA classes with some title support. So now, instead of it being a single teacher, now we have 2 professionals in the room working together with these students to ensure that they are practicing and learning the skills required for success. We also have taken a fresh look at scheduling for our professionals at the high school. We have reduced the number of preps, or the number of different courses that our teachers are teaching. We've attempted to streamline that. So for example, rather than a teacher preparing for 5 different courses over the course of a school year, a teacher might prepare for 1 or 2 different courses. This allows for them to focus their time, focus their efforts, hone in on the skills that need to be mastered, and again, plan commonly with their team to ensure those skills and deficits are being addressed. We have formalized our Option 2 programming, so we are identifying students who are at risk of school failure. We're pairing those students with an instructional mentor. We're working towards helping all students achieve the requisite requirements for graduation in the state, which includes meeting their graduation assessments. But we are really pleased that we have been able to identify a strong group of teachers who are acting as instructional mentors to our most at-risk students. They are developing relationships. We are in the business of building relationships. This is key to that. We have an increased focus on decreasing chronic absenteeism at the junior senior high school. We as well have developed an attendance review committee. We have developed an attendance contract. We are offering a series of parent workshops over the course of this school year. We are involving the community. We need to meet our families where they are. We need to get out into the community to find them. We've conducted a number of home visits. We are partnering with local agencies. We are working on stressing the importance of regular school attendance. We recognize that students who are chronically absent from school are very obviously missing out on key instructional time. We are literally knocking on doors to find our students and get them back into the building. We're looking for a commitment from our students, but we're also working with our families to build relationships. Again, the key to getting our students back into school, back into the instructional realm, is building relationships. And we are taking advantage of increased access to state funding through title programming. We're supporting all learners through the use of title funding. So we are supporting our professionals, we're supporting our teachers, we're developing special programs. We are going truly above and beyond what is required to make sure that we are reaching our students and families and getting them into school, helping identify their deficits, celebrating their strengths, and making sure that all students achieve. Okay. So with this, we conclude our presentation. Again, we will have this information posted to the website shortly for you. I invite questions. At this point, we want to respond to a few questions. Yeah, we invite questions from the board. Thank you. Yes, good evening.
Yeah, I can see you guys are doing quite a good job. But one question that I have is that from the table that you showed us, I'm picking on the geometry again. We level 5 in geometry 2017 was 0%.
Right.
So probably it flags us that something must have
Something is
happened,
amiss.
right?
Right, absolutely.
And then 2018 we got
Oh, I'm sorry. It's in my eye.
Just turn it off first. Thank you.
So I'm sure it flags us that something
Right,
has to be
right.
done, right?
Uh-huh.
But I saw that 2018 we got 0 again.
Right,
So 2 zeros means 2 flags, right?
that's right. That's
And
right.
now I can see 2019 we got 0 again, so 3 flags. So either we did something but it didn't work it out, or either we didn't do anything about it, or something like that, or there is no answer for that.
Right.
But is anybody looking into why we are in a 3 years in a row, nothing has been done and keep getting a zeros?
We absolutely are. And I think one of the big conversations that we continue to revisit at the junior senior high school is what's the root cause here? We can't treat the problem without having an understanding
Uh-huh.
of why. So one of the root causes that we identified was in mathematics specifically, we did have a great deal of teacher turnover. So we had some breaks in instruction. Life happened and we had to fill some gaps, and perhaps instruction wasn't as continuous as it ideally could have been. So that, for example, is
That works for
perhaps
1 year,
So,
but 3 years.
so if I may also chime in, and I don't have a crystal ball, none of us do. We have a very transient population, but I think a bigger indicator, Jason, if I may. So the high school graduation requirement is that you successfully pass a mathematics assessment. So if you have done so in Algebra 1, the geometry test, for argument's sake, is meaningless. I am not the State Department of Education. At that point, we are assessing children who are intelligent enough to understand that they have very likely successfully met the requirement for mathematics. And I will tell you, there are districts that have a major opt-out of student participation on the assessments. We don't. I'm not sure, and it's not an excuse, that we have a tremendous buy-in or I would tell you wholeheartedly, I would venture to say geometry and chemistry are two of your more difficult subjects in any high school in the state, and probably across the country. With that being said, we are looking at it. We have made a major overhaul of our scheduling this year, where we are trying to reduce, as Ms. Warris mentioned, the number of teacher preps. So a teacher can concentrate more concretely on 1 or 2 subjects versus potentially teaching 3 or 4. But we are closely monitoring the information. I hope when you ask the question in 2020, we have a different answer for you. But as I mentioned constantly to my administrative team, I cannot get caught up in statistics in a community like Palisades Park. It is wonderful to honor and recognize the children, but I also know that there's a story behind every child. I go to state conferences, and the State Department will treat our numbers as statistics and give us labels, and I treat our children as individuals, just like every other person in this district. Every child has a unique story behind them. They've come to this country for better opportunities. Not all, but very many. Geometry may not be the most important thing going on in their life in the week during testing in April. But we are looking at those kids, and I assure you we are.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, thank you so much for all the teachers who've done a great job, and I believe that if there's any way that you can increase the participation, because even though it's optional, I believe that more students want to be tested, that means they're getting more ready. So I'm just hoping that there will be some kind of tactics that you can bring up to make more students to participate. That way we will get to know better about the result. And I'm just hoping that, everybody thinks that it's what we have to do and what we have to prepare for. And that way, whether it's gonna take some time, of course. And I am sure that like each administrators, try the best to bring the score up, because, kind of like we're also satisfied, but not really. So,
There's always room for growth.
right, so I'm just hoping
It's
that.
about the
more-
message, so
Right.
stressing the importance of participating fully in these assessments,
Right, I
not
agree.
logging in and shutting the
Right,
cover of
because
your
I don't want
Chromebook.
anybody to feel that I'm
Right.
not good enough to take the test.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Right.
I just want everybody to participate, and if we find any areas to fill the gap, we will do it together.
Thank you. Just to clarify, every student who was eligible to take the assessment was scheduled for the assessment. Again, the students, once they are logging into their portal and they are sitting at a desk ready to take the test, we are not able to continually prompt them to continue their work. There is a clock, the clock is running, but certainly we do recognize that it's about the message, about stressing the importance, about what this means and what information this provides to us as the adults who are able to help craft the path of a child's educational career. Yes,
And
thank you.
if I believe that everybody's getting ready, if they feel more confident, we'll participate
Agreed.
more. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say that, we appreciate all of the efforts of all the faculty and the administration for doing all that they can. And we know that you're trying very, very hard, and sometimes numbers don't reflect the amount of effort and work that everyone does. And on behalf of the Board of Education, I thank you, the total administration, as well as the faculty for their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before I move on with the board meeting, I would like to recognize Mr. Jason Lee, who probably came late, not because of the rain, he was studying, he said. So Jason, congratulations. Thank you for being here. Sorry to keep you waiting, buddy.
What were you studying?
Jason, take a picture with Dr. Matarazzo, please. And while Jason's taking that picture, she deserves recognition. Jamie's in the back hiding, and she missed it by 1 point.
Oh my
Jamie,
God.
great job. In conclusion of my report, I will ask the board in new business to please re-adopt our junior-senior high school student handbook. We constantly are evolving and updating as we go, so So just to have it formally re-adopted in new business, please.
Okay.
Thank you very
We'll wait
much.
till then, okay. Very good, thank you. Report of the board attorney.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are many things going on. First, most of the issues are going to be discussed in the closed session. However, I will report that the teacher's contract, we did have the PERC mediation on September 26th. There's going to be a follow-up session on November 26, 2019. And we have to have future discussions between the union and the board in between that time. We also had continuing discussions with the administrators union and its representative Michael Bertali today. That discussion is continuing, and we will meet for another round. I believe it was November 17th? 7th, excuse me. And hopefully there's going to be some progress made very soon on that. We have still 2 matters that are requiring my attention for out-of-district placement for special needs students that are pending. We also have a labor matter that's now opened up again, and I will report that in the closed session. Let's see. SROs. As the board is aware, the borough is intending to provide a police officer as a SRO for our schools. I am speaking with the board attorney. There was a shared services agreement that was submitted last week. That shared services agreement I commented on, and today the borough attorney did provide a memorandum of agreement, which I am in the process of reviewing. And hopefully by next session, I will have a recommendation along with Dr. Cirillo for the board's consideration. Lastly, salary increase on the STEP guidelines. I will request a vote on that. I did report on that in closed session last time, but I will request a vote on this, probably most appropriate for old business, right, Diane?
Yes.
Okay, at that time. That concludes my report for the open session, subject to any questions the board might have.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Next, I'd like to entertain a motion for minute approval, July 31st and August 28th. Someone like to resolve that?
I'll make a motion to.
Second.
Second on that, Jason? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Are you doing them both together or separate?
We can do them both together. Sure.
There were people absent at those meetings. I don't
I'm sorry?
think
Okay.
There was people absent, I don't think they could vote on them. I don't know, Mr. Choi?
I would prefer that they be done separately,
Okay.
to keep the
Then
record.
let's do July 31st. I'd like to entertain a
I'll
motion.
make a motion to.
Second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Tom Matarazzi?
Yes.
Stephanie Jang?
Yes.
Jason Kim?
Yes.
Rebecca Lee?
Yes.
John Matisich?
I have to abstain, I was in Venice.
Oh, Pete.
Right?
Yui Min? Yes. Jeffrey Wu?
Yes.
Timothy Yang?
Yes.
Okay, next one would be August 28th, 2019. Like to entertain a motion there.
I'll make a motion.
Second on that?
Seconded.
Roll call, please. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Thomas Matarazzi?
Yeah, I was in part of Del Harwood Terrace, so. Yes.
Stephanie Jang?
Yes.
Jason Kim?
Abstaining because I wasn't here.
Rebecca Lee?
I abstain, I was in here that day.
John Matisich?
Yes.
Yui Min?
Yes.
Jeffrey Wu?
Yes.
Timothy Yang?
Okay, next committee reports, finance, Mr. Matisich.
Before you, you have 8 resolutions. I had the privilege of going over them this afternoon. I move on the consent agenda on all 8.
I'll second, but I do have a question.
Okay, seconded, Jeffrey, questions? Jeffrey?
So I saw earlier in the slides, the title funding that you're referring to, is this what it is? I'm sorry, you don't have
We don't-
is that number 3? Is that what that is?
Some of the title funds
Yeah.
that were awarded to us by being a school-wide program now by way of the ESSA, yes, or ESEA, excuse me. That is correct. Yep.
So this is okay now?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to table one of the items on there for discussion in closed session. And that would be number 3.
I got questions. I gotta ask.
So I'd like to make a motion.
You request a second on that.
A second on that?
Is there a reason for it?
Yeah, we have to discuss it in closed and we have to rice them first, so that's why we can. Number 3,
Okay. Make
second? Okay,
Discussion.
any discussion?
Opinion of the attorney?
Yes.
Anybody? If you wanna vote on this, in open, there's no need for a rice. But if you wanna discuss it as being proposed by Dr. Matarazzo, in closed, then there is a need to rice.
After, if I may, Mr. Choi, after closed session, after being informed of information, could the board vote on this matter tonight?
No, if we're going to go to closed session for discussion, the individuals need to be rice. But if we're gonna discuss it openly right now, then there's no need to rice.
Should I give an explanation to any and all of the board members? I've talked to 2 thus far.
Right now, there is a motion on the floor, to table, there's a second, there should be, after this discussion, a vote on that motion. And if the motion carries, we're gonna go carry it to the next session, but if the motion does not carry, you cannot discuss it on the,
So they can vote. If it does not carry, I can explain the situation and they can vote accordingly.
that is correct.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
This is the motion on
Tabling.
tabling.
On table. Okay. Tom and Jason, you second
Yes.
on that? Yes. Okay. Tom Matarazza.
Yes.
Stephanie Jang.
No.
Jason Kim.
Yes.
Rebecca Lee.
Hard decision. No?
John Madison.
No.
Young Min.
Yes.
Jeffrey Wu.
So if we say no, then we hear the explanation.
And then you can vote on the,
Okay, so I'll know that.
Jeffrey himself.
I voted no.
Timothy Yang.
No.
So 5 to 3, no.
the motion doesn't carry.
Uh-huh.
And before the board right now is the consent resolution with number 3 on the table, an explanation or discussion on number 3. Dr. Searle.
If I may, after last month's board meeting, I recommended 3 individuals for the positions. Upon meeting with those 3 individuals and clearly designating the roles and responsibilities, one of the 3 individuals, namely the individual with the least amount being compensated, actually recommended to me that she feels that she should not be paid equal to the peers, as they did much of the heavy lifting, for argument's sake. At that point, I asked that if everyone was okay with it, I would make the recommendation, but they would do that upon their own free will. She happily did so. Soon thereafter, I asked via email that all 3 individuals again confirm, and I do have a copy of the email, ironically enough, in my inbox, via email, in writing, that this was what they indeed discussed. I had nothing to do with the payment, the breakdown. I commend the individual who actually initiated the conversation. Hence, the recommendation is as they all requested, and the individual receiving the least amount of money, so much desired.
May I ask a few questions?
Of course.
So for this, the Title I and II.
Yes.
This was a grant from the state,
Yes, sir.
and it was a lump sum that has no, I guess, designation of monies.
So the grant speaks to a program administrator. In years past, we had a grant writer who did the submission of the grant. She effectively resigned on June 30th. Two of the three individuals specifically through the summer months did much of the application process. One of the three individuals actually acknowledged that, and she clearly brought this to our attention. Again, this is not me just deciding arbitrarily who gets more and who gets less. I commend them for doing this as professionals.
Can I ask you also one question?
Sure.
Do you have all this in writing?
Absolutely, via email, and I'm sure if I asked for a written confirmation from all of them, they would be happily doing so.
And these were appointed, are they appointed or?
They were
are
all approved last month. I recommended the three of them. They were all approved. There was no salary attached to them,
Okay.
being that we would have to compensate them. And for transparency with our auditors, we have to disclose a dollar amount.
And I was at that meeting, if I could add, and my assumption was that they had talents in all areas. So 3 of the 4 applicants were interviewed and they got hired. And I was under the assumption that since we posted it, that's when the work was going to begin. Didn't know they started the work in July, since it was only posted in, I guess, September. So I just assumed that they were all going to work together, but they did say their talents were in certain areas. How they divided the work, I mean, I've been involved in group work all my life as an educator, and some do more, some do less, but you know what? When it's split up evenly. It's not one is going to be given more because she or he did more work. So for that reason, that I think that it should be equitably distributed, that's all. Not against any of them, I think they all deserve $25,000, the full amount each, $25,000 each if we have that kind of money. But being that there's only $25,000 and 3 of them applied, 3 of them were hired at our last meeting, how they divided the work amongst themselves, that's not up to us to dictate. They all should have met together, all did the same work together. I was at the interview, and as I said, I was assuming they were all going to give their own contributions, not one more than another. And that's why I believe it should be divided evenly.
But this is what they decided to do?
They did.
Is there any like, anything within the grant,
It just
That's
speaks to a
specific.
dollar amount. If the grant was not submitted in the summer months, we would not have been eligible